Ferrari have suffered through some of their darkest years, but now we can say it out loud. Ferrari is back. This year, the Scuderia are back to their racing best, and there's a surprising reason behind this. It's hidden deep inside the F1 rulesbook, and we're going to get you up to date with how they're now on top of the F1 world. There are a few areas we're going to look at, starting with the side pods. Their side pods are huge, taking up far more space than necessary. Normally, teams try to hug the body of their car to the internal parts as much as possible, so as to reduce drag and weight. Ferrari haven't done this, but there is a plan behind the largest side pods on the grid. A scooped channel in the top is designed to funnel air onto the rear wing. Air flows into the scoop at the front of the side pods, then, like a skate ramp, drops down the front end of the scoop, up the other side and onto the rear wing. Ferrari's choice to focus on the flow at the top could indicate that the team is confident enough of being able to generate downforce from under the floor. The aggressive undercut beneath the side pods is another key element of the overall aero package. The side pods don't create as much downforce as Red Bull and Mercedes. Instead, the undercut helps it reduce drag by keeping the front tyre wake away from the rear of the car, especially the rear wheels, which has a massive effect on the amount of drag being produced. The effect of these factors coming together is that the drag that the car produces is very purposeful, and the majority of it is used constructively to help with the overall downforce. It is a design that shows more thought and refinement than the Mercedes or Red Bull. The reason behind this we'll come on to later. Next though, we need to look at the engine and how it interacts so well with the aero design. Inside the F175 is the best engine on the grid according to Haas principal Gunther Steiner. I think the Ferrari engine is now the best engine, Steiner said. I honestly think that, and that gives a lot of credit to them because they were in the same position as us. They had to take a lot of from people about it, and they just got back, did their homework, and came back with something very good. Gunther is right, the Ferrari engine is incredible, the evidence of which can be seen in its two customer teams, Haas and Alfa Romeo, who are also doing very well. But despite having the best engine on the grid, they aren't the fastest through the speed traps. They're utilizing their engine power in another way. The strong engine means they can run more downforce because the engine can still push them forward against that increased resistance. This is shown at Bahrain, where Charles Leclerc was the fastest in every sector, but especially so in the twisty middle sector. He was 0.08 faster in Sector 1 and 1.9 tenths faster in Sector 3. Impressive, but in Sector 2, he was over 3 tenths faster than second quickest Max Verstappen, thanks to the extra downforce his car produces. The combination of low drag and high rear-end downforce, coupled with the new ground effect floors, mean that the car is really well balanced. It's creating even amounts of downforce in the front and rear of the car, so they're able to run the car much lower to the floor than a lot of other cars. This gives huge performance benefits. Lowering the car lowers the center of gravity, which improves the car's stability and handling. It also means the aerodynamics work better. Though we now have ground effect floors in F1, the teams still want as much air as possible going over the top of the car. The ground effect floors only need a small amount of air to work. The more air that goes over the top of the car, the better for the aero performance of the car. Running closer to the ground does encourage some porpoising though. In fact, in Australia, Ferrari was probably suffering more than anyone else. Most teams have had to raise their ride height to stop this happening, so why haven't Ferrari? You need to know why porpoising is bad to understand why it isn't that bad for Ferrari. Obviously it's bad, because everyone's complaining about it, but how does it actually affect the car? Well, you will have seen the sparks that come flying off of the car when they start porpoising. Those are created by the car's floor hitting the road. There are a couple of reasons why this is bad. Firstly, it can damage the floor, which could cause any number of problems for the car. Secondly, and probably more importantly, it sends a shockwave through the car. Imagine you're sitting on a go-kart and you're going down a hill and you hit a really bumpy bit of road. The whole go-kart starts to bounce all over the place. This bouncing could be avoided if you had suspension. Well, Ferrari's floor basically has suspension. In a normal car, the wheels are connected to the chassis of the car via a spring somewhere, which is called suspension. This spring reduces the feeling of bumps in the road. You would think you'd only need this for the wheels, because they're the only part touching the road. But when an F1 car starts porpoising, the floor hits the road, and because there isn't any suspension, that impact is felt everywhere in the car. It's that effect that was a big contributing factor to all of Red Bull's retirements this season. Well, Ferrari have been quite clever and have come up with a solution to this impact. They mounted their floor on its own suspension system, so whenever it hits the floor, the effect of the bouncing on the car is dampened. So while Ferrari haven't stopped porpoising, they have limited the impact of it on the car. And while the bouncing still isn't enjoyable or beneficial to the drivers, the thing that is causing it, downforce, is beneficial to their lap time. During the fastest parts of the track, they might be bouncing, but when they hit the brakes, the car settles and goes into the corner completely under the control of the driver. Unlike the Mercedes, for example, which is incredibly difficult to control in high-speed corners due to the porpoising. So how is it that Ferrari managed to come up with a great aero package and engine and a solution to porpoising, while Red Bull and Mercedes have not? Well, it's the recent lack of success that they have to thank. Coming third in the Constructors' Championship last year meant that Ferrari were given more time in the wind tunnel than Red Bull and Mercedes. And it isn't a small amount of extra time. They got 10% more than Constructors' Champions Mercedes and 5% more than second-placed Red Bull. That extra time has clearly been put to good use, as the Ferrari car's aero package is well-rounded already, while Mercedes and Red Bull's are still lacking. Red Bull are struggling in the low-speed corners due to a lack of downforce. They're currently trying to compensate for this by going faster on the straights, but it hasn't helped so far. And Mercedes are finding that porpoising is ruining their high-speed cornering. To mitigate that, they're having to raise the ride height, which then sacrifices their low-speed cornering. It really is a lose-lose situation for the Silver Arrows at the moment. Ferrari haven't made any updates to their car yet, but they will know that Red Bull and Mercedes will improve soon. But their early success does mean they get options for how they look to upgrade their car. They can improve what they already have, or they can take their time and see if they can find something that they hadn't thought of before. They have the luxury of being able to see what the rest of the field do and how the changes they make affect their cars. It's likely that Ferrari will find a midpoint between these two. With the new budget caps, they have to be careful not to overinvest into improvements that may be inferior to things their opponents are doing. They'll probably invest in minor changes that have a low cost but offer small upgrades to their lap times until they can find a big breakthrough somewhere that will unlock some new potential in their car. The wind tunnel changes have given a huge advantage to teams who haven't performed as well recently, and Ferrari are a great example of this. The new way of allocating wind tunnel time is designed to stop a team getting ahead in car design and then staying there year after year, such as Mercedes did from 2014 till 2021. So while Ferrari may be looking dominant at the moment, next season could be a very different story. Let us know what you think of the F175 in the comments below, and make sure to hit the notification button and give us a like while you're there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.